Okay, so hello everyone. In the previous class, we learned about Orpah, the sister-in-law of Ruth that made a decision to go back to her God and to her land and to her nation. And in this class, I want to speak about the woman that we call her the cleaved one, the one that wanted to stick with Klal Israel and to stay part of us. And she goes together with Naomi and she makes a decision to cleave to God and to be part of this beautiful nation. And I want to learn more about Ruth, that the Megillah is named after her because she is the main character of the story. And Ruth, we all know, she did an amazing thing by deciding to go and to leave, her country and to decide to go with Naomi and to enter to Beit Lechem and to come in that situation that wasn't comfortable at all. They look terrible. We're going to go through the stuff and we're going to understand in which condition did they come. Wasn't pleasant. And from there, from her decision, at the end is going to come David HaMelech and Melech HaMashiach. Which is out of her, out of this special woman, Ruth's decision and what she did. Okay, so in this class today, I would like us to see Ruth in a different aspect. And I want to say in the beginning of it that it says some of the stuff that I'm going to say in this class is according to the Mefaresh, Parshan, of the name of Moshe El-Shich. He lived in the 15th century, and he was a Mekubal. He was actually the rabbi of Rab Chaim Vital. So his interpretation has to do with Kabbalah, okay? Which is the mean insight of the Megillah. All right. So let's see how he sees what happened over here. And
can you give me a small one, please?
One of you is not closed. If you can just mute yourself, we would be thankful. All right. Yeah, you all mute now. Okay. I'm gonna try also. All right. Sorry. Okay, back to Ruth. Okay, so let's just remember what we discussed in the previous class. Okay, two women that lost their husbands are going together with their mother-in-law, Naomi, which also lost her husband. But not only that, she lost her money. She lost the tzon that they had, which the stuff that they had the money in. Everything they lost, every single thing. They're walking together to Eretz Yehuda, to Israel, without shoes, barefoot. They have nothing. We did say that we know that they both came from kingdom. Yeah, they came from the king of Moab. They're from an aristocrat family. They're inside of a higher level than the average, and they came from royalty. So I want us to remember it when we look at the two of them and the decisions that they made. They are not simple women. And they're walking a not simple woman too. She was known as Ne'ima. She was a woman that had Ne'imut. Yeah, she was very nice to people. She was a good person. Her good deeds were known out of Moab and out of Israel. People knew who she was. She was important. The Midrash would tell us how she came and which clothing she came and the way she walked and what, she's somebody known. She's famous. And she did not want her daughter-in-laws to come along with her for her own reasons. And we discussed it in the previous class. Now we left them on the road. Yeah, Orpah is leaving and we heard what happened to her. And Ruth is making a decision. And here I want us to listen to the most magnificent words between Ruth and her mother-in-law, Naomi. I'm reading in Ruth Aleph, Pasuk Yudalid. It says like this, ותישנה קולן ותבכנה עוד, ותשק עורפה לחמותה, ורות דבקה בה. Yeah? Orpah decides, she, the one that kissed, and she left, and Ruth decided to cleave to Naomi and to stay with her. And here Naomi is having a very special conversation with Ruth. This is after Orpah left, or the Eliashich would tell us that she's standing there and she's still hearing the words that Naomi is saying to Ruth. And she says like this, ותאמר, הנה שבה יבמתך אל עמה ואל אלוהיה, שובי אחרי יבמתך. Your sister-in-law went and she left me for her nation and for her God. Yeah, she's mentioning she left our God. Go back with your sister-in-law. And here comes the words that Ruth is saying that are remarkable for generations. ותאמר רות, אל תפגעי בי לעוזבך, don't hurt me for leaving you. לשוב מאחרייך, you want me to go back, and you're going to continue ahead. כי אל אשר תלכי אלך, wherever you're going to go, I'm going. And wherever you're going to sleep, אשר תליני אלין, wherever you sleep, I also going to go and sleep. עמך עמי, your nation is my nation, and your, ואלוהיך אלוהי, and your God is my God. And wherever you're going to die, I will die. באשר תמותי אמות, ושם אקבר, and there I'll be buried. כה יעשה השם לי, וכה יוסיף. Kadosh Baruch Hu is going to add me, כי המוות יפריד ביני ובינך. Only death is going to separate me and you. Okay, that's, as I said before, it's really remarkable. It's really an amazing dialogue and stuff that she's saying. And we can see from here that she's totally inside of her mission. She knows very well where she's going. She wants to go over there. She doesn't want to hear no, but she tells Naomi something that maybe we don't hear when we read it quickly. She says, look, Naomi, I chose in your God. I chose in Hashem. Now he's my God. And therefore, even if you don't want me to go with you, it'll be sad for me. I'm going to leave you at this point, but I am going myself back into this nation because I made my decision. I made my decision to go with Hashem. And that's when Naomi understands that she's very stubborn. She made her mind and she's going ahead. So she is allowing her to go with her. Now, what I want to say over here, that the discussion is mentioning to us two things. Basically, Orpah left her mother-in-law because she was more interested in walking her mother-in-law and being close to her mother-in-law as a person. That's why Naomi, when she leaves her, knows to say, you went back to your own God. You left my God because you were holding my hand. I was, as a person, very important to you, which is nice. But that is not going to make her to make the big change that Ruth is talking about. Ruth made a decision about God. Naomi was either Naomi's going to help her to get to this God, or if Naomi's not, somebody else will. That's how it tells us inside. It says inside in Midrash Rabbah that's what she meant to tell her. Your decision. If you're going to be my teacher or you're letting somebody else to be my teacher. And that's a different talk. Because what she is saying over here is, I chose already in your God. I chose in the God of this nation. And I'm going with him by good and by bad. That's what she's saying. Now, nothing is gonna make me to make a different decision. I am going to die as a Jewish woman. I am going to be part of this nation in any case. So these words that coming out of Ruth's mouth, it's a different speech. It's a different state of mind that Naomi was expecting Ruth to say. Now, he tells us that something happened here as far as Kabbalah. The inside of the Torah is Kabbalah, yeah? The inside, the stuff that we cannot see in the first level. He tells us that when Naomi kissed her daughter-in-laws, she was actually looking for something inside of them. The Medrash tells us that Preda Tova Matzati beMoav, I found a good stone over there in Moab. Kadosh Baruch Hu is saying it. I found something very good in the Moabite nation. And that Preda Tova, the Gemara will bring it also, but that stone, that Preda Tova, that like a diamond, yeah, that's the words. Maybe I found a diamond over there, and that diamond is gonna go on a journey to find its way coming back to where it belongs. Now, Naomi, and so is Boaz, and so is Yehuda, and so is all the characters that we know that take part in this Megillat Ruth, they all knew this. They all knew that there is someone that's going to make his way not from the Israeli nation and will come into the Israeli nation and is actually going to bring Malchut into the Israeli nation. That was a known thing, okay? They were on a high level. They knew that. Now, the Eliashich says that when she kissed her daughter-in-laws, she was actually looking to see who is going to cleave to her. Is one of you? She didn't know, but she could have assumed, maybe one of you is really the one that is that diamond. Now, Orpah says right away, I'm not your diamond. I'm going back. So she's not. And with Ruth, she's trying to see how stubborn Ruth is. Is she? Because we know in Judaism that you have to do something very, very important in order to get things. And that is bringing out efforts. Now, the next pasuk tells us like this, pasuk Yudchet, Vatar ki mit'ametzet hi lalechet ita, vatechda ledaber ita. The word mitametzet means making an effort. It's the first time in the whole Nacht this word comes across. It's the first time. Now, we know that when first word has place, it holds all the meaning of the next time it's going to come up across. Yeah, I'm sorry if I'm not so clear. I'm going to try to say it with better English. But the first time, the meaning of the word is very important. So right now, this word mitametzet means she's going no matter what's going to happen. She's going with a lot of effort into Eretz Israel. It's not easy for her. We're not just talking about a regular walk, because it should have said it on Naomi too. She also walked that walk. So it was far away and they were walking without shoes and they were tired and thirsty and hungry. So therefore we should have heard that they were both mitamtzot lalechet, but we don't hear that. We hear it only about Ruth. She is mitametzet lalechet. Why? What is the special effort that Ruth is making? Now I want us to remember from where she's coming. Okay? She's making a decision in a critical time. She lost her husband. She lost her sister-in-law at the moment too, which was, some say, was her own sister. It's not easy. It's not those days that you have WhatsApp, emails, telephones that you can call her the next day and say, hey, how you doing? My sister, I miss you. No, she's not going to see her anymore. It's hard. She left behind her own identity. She's coming back she's coming into Eretz Israel as a new person. Nobody's gonna know who she is. She is someone that nobody's gonna know. Nobody's gonna care to know that she is the daughter or the granddaughter of the Moabite king. Who cares? Anyway, they didn't like him. They didn't appreciate him. So she's leaving everything behind. But I want to say here something more important. her decision of choosing God, making the effort to go after him, when God is not so attractive in her eyes. Let's put it that way. You know, people that got hits, and not one, and not two, and not three, and not even 10, they're bitter. They're upset. They feel they have all the reasons to be upset at God. And therefore, that God wasn't nice to them and their own way of saying it. So when we know a lot of people like that, so why should I go with you? Why should I choose you when you're so dark? You're not showing me any charming face. You're not good, not to my mother-in-law, not to my sister, not to my husband, not to my brother-in-law. You took all of our money. Look how we are walking. Look in what position she's making such an important decision. And that's very, very important. Because she's one of a kind. We don't know anyone else that did such a decision when it was so dark and hard for them. She's a one of a kind. We're going to come back to that. But I can tell you that from my own experience, I've been part of helping bereaved families in Israel in the past 18 years. I had the zchut to be very close to a lot of people that went through terrible things. And I know from coming and being close to them and coming into their homes and going through with them the first few years after losing, after lost, after with grief. And I can tell you that one of the first things that everyone, they have a dialogue with God. What are you doing? What do you think? It happened to my father. Why are you doing it to my son? It happened to my child. How are you doing it to my husband? I just, in the past 2 weeks ago, in Yom HaZikaron, I went to a wonderful woman that I sat by her. She's around 75 now. Her son died in one of the terrorist attacks in Israel. And her husband, which was very, very sick. And finally, they got a kidney for him. And he just went through a year of an operation and he was feeling good. It was their anniversary. She was celebrating with him. She went with him to the beach and he drowned in the beach and he died. And she's sitting, I come, they think I'm an ambassador of God. She forgets that we all are, but she looks at me, and she says to me, why? In her own words, it wasn't enough for Kadosh Baruch Hu to take my son. He also had to take my husband. I'm left with nothing. Hard. These are hard questions. And we'll get back to some of the answers at the end of this class. But Ruth is choosing at the time when they get hit. From that point, she's deciding to cleave and to go with Hashem to a special nation. And it's very, very different than everyone else that made a decision. She's coming when it's dark. It's much easier to choose in this beautiful Torah when things are going so great. I feel good. I feel great. Baruch Hashem. My kids are healthy. We have a nice parnasa. We moved to Israel. Everything was so easy. It's just wonderful. And then I just want to be part of it. I can't wait to the Beit Mikdash to be built, and I will come with my korbanot, and I will sing over there. And what a wonderful life. If you can find one, send me her number. I would like to speak to her. We are all going through very, very hard things. All of us, everyone, different periods of life, different things, hard and harm. I remember that one of the bereaved women, that her daughter died also from a terrorist attack. They were driving on the highway and a rock hit the car, but it went across the little girl. She was 2 years old. And for 3 years from then, she was laying down in coma in one of the hospitals over here. And after 3 years, the girl died. And I remember her screaming at one of the sessions that we had. And she says, I'm upset. I am so angry with Hashem, so mad with him. Why? She was 5 years old. We were finally thinking that we're getting her back. Why? And she was going on and on. But then she said something so important. She said, you know something? The fact that I have an address to scream about all my pain, and at the end of this address is standing God, I have a connection with him. I have what to say to him. He's standing behind all of it. Right, where I'm holding right now is very, very painful. I cannot come into terms with what he did to me at this point. But the truth is, he's there, and I'm addressing all my pain to him, so I'm still in connection with him. And I'm saying it because it's very important. Because when you hear people, when they're going through major pain, because it's time when Kadosh Baruch Hu decided for all of his right reasons, we cannot see, we don't have those eyes. If you know that there is an address for all this pain, you're still close. In some terms, you're still close. You're having with him a connection. It's much more scary when we hear people that say, forget everything. Don't want to hear. I don't want to talk. That's no connection, no contact. So I'm bringing all of this to say that this was the point that Ruth was standing at with her mother-in-law Naomi. The fact that Orpah decided at this point to go back is more understood to us than what Ruth decided. Naomi had to go back for her own reasons. We will learn it in Mirza Hashem in the next class. But Naomi also had to help herself to make a decision why she's going back. It wasn't easy for her to make this decision too. So what should we say about Ruth? At this point, the lowest point of her life, she's making a decision. She's making an effort. I am going with you, Kadosh Baruch Hu. I'm choosing you in the darkness. And that's what makes Ruth extremely special. It says, the Eliashich tells us a very special sentence over here. He says, Im Ruth hayta ruach acheret. She had a different ruach than most of human beings. And that's why she's considered to be that diamond that we're looking from Moab to bring her, because it's a woman with ruach acheret. Very, very special, the effort that she's making. And now I want to say about all of us, Baruch Hashem and Bezrat Hashem, we should none of us go through any of this painful and harm and everything that is spoken about in Megillat Ruth. But we all have, we all go through hard things. And not only Ruth made an effort, you all do. You all make an effort to choose to get up in the morning and to serve Kadosh Baruch Hu after such painful situations. That's called making an effort. That's called going in the footsteps of Ruth. Every time you make a decision, I'm getting up in the morning, when it's the last thing you want to do is just to take the blanket and cover your head and say goodbye to the world. I want to disappear. Leave me alone. When you get dressed, when you get out of your bed, when you smile to a husband, you pick up the phone and you answer a friend or your daughter or whoever it is, you are doing an effort to go with Hashem. Not only Ruth did it, you are doing it too. And that's what she left us. Don't underestimate what you're doing, because in painful times, those decisions is what making us to be going with efforts with Kadosh Baruch Hu. In the darkness, we're doing exactly what she did. But she was the first one to do. And when you're the first one to do, you leave in the world a lot of power. In those times when we're having it hard, remember that you're taking a little bit of the power that she left in this world for you and for me and for all of us. It's to get up and to say, I'm believing in you. I'm choosing you. That's the word that I want to use in this class. I'm choosing in God in the darkness, in the hard days. inside of the pain. That's my choice. You know what? You and me and all of us can choose different. We have a choice. We can choose. We got from her the power, choose to be with Hashem in the dark. And don't think that we're not doing it, because when we go back to our life after horrible things, after losing all your money, after losing children, after losing a marriage, all of these things is times that other people, some people make a different decision. I'm leaving you, Hashem. Not only that I'm not leaving you, Kadosh Baruch Hu, I'm cleaving to you, Kadosh Baruch Hu, in the pain. That's RUTH. Now from here, I want to go, and at the rest of this class, I want to see other people, other characters, special people that made a decision to become Gerei Tzedek, the famous ones that we have. We have Yitro, which, by the way, if you look at his name, is Yitro, is the same name, the same letters of RUTH, just with a Yud. Yitro and RUTH, the same thing. So I want to do some of, I want to compare RUTH and Yitro. I want to compare RUTH and Rachav, and I will tell the stories of each one of them in a moment. But I want to also compare RUTH to the queen of Shva, which she is, I'm assuming, yeah, could be I'm wrong, but she's less famous than the rest, okay? Now I want to go through all these 4 stories that we have over here and look at the special characters and see the difference about making a decision of cleaving to God in the darkness. Did they do the same thing? Did they choose to come into the Israeli nations in bad times for them? Let's see. Yitro. Yitro is the father-in-law of Moshe Rabbeinu. A huge zchut, something really, really special. Your son-in-law, Moshe Rabbeinu, the one and only. When does he come into the Israeli nation? First of all, he has a relationship, which we discussed it in the class that we did about Tzipporah, but he has a relationship with Moshe Rabbeinu. And Yitro is known to be a philosopher. He is, how would we put him? He's brains. He's rational. He comes from a look of a rational look. He's trying to put things together from the brain, from the way he sees things. We see that when he comes into Klal Yisrael, what does he do? He gives us etzot, yeah? He gives us solutions. There's a whole parsha that's named after him. He gives solutions. Solutions is something that comes from a rational. I see a problem and I solve it. That's what he did. So how does he come? I want to read what it tells us here. It says on Yitro, it says in Shmot Yudchet, Pasuk Aleph, Vayishma Yitro Kohen Midyan Choten Moshe, et kol asher asa Elokim leMoshe uLyisrael amo, ki hotzi Hashem et Yisrael miMitzrayim. He hears wonderful things that happen. He separates from his son-in-law. Moshe Rabbeinu went, as Kadosh Baruch Hu asked him to go and take Am Yisrael out of Egypt. At that point, they split. He stayed in Midian and he went to take the Israeli nations. And here we hear that Yitro makes a decision to come and join Klal Yisrael and to be part of them. And Rashi tells us why. He says like this, Vayishma Yitro. Mashmu'a shama veba. What did he hear and he decided to come? Kri'at Yam Suf v'milchemet Amalek. He heard 2 things. He heard how the water split, and he heard the war that we had with Amalek. What does he hear? He hears that here there is a nation that has no way, no ability to win a war with a real army, a real nation. They were very strong, the Amaleki. And here they were just Egyptians, they were slaves 5 days ago, and here they're winning a war. I mean, that's crazy stuff. Think about it if we will see it in the headlines of the J Post. a few, 500,000 people that came out of from Egypt, they were all slaves. Yeah, just try to imagine them, the slaves that we know that came from Africa. And here they are going and having war with this nation of the Amalek and winning. Whoa, that's crazy. God is with them. That's what he said, Ito. Rational. I can put 1 + 1 = 2. The other thing is, they're standing there next to the water and I see it splitting. That's incredible. It's impossible. When you do 1 + 1, it doesn't come out that it should have been split, the water. That's God's hand. God chose this nation. I saw enough, I'm coming to be part of them. That's what it says. Mashmua Shema Uva. That's Rashi, what he says. So now we hear that he's coming from something that he heard. Remember that word. Nishma, he heard. So he came. What happens by Rachav? I'll remind you the story that happened. Yoshua, he's bringing Am Yisrael into Israel. And Yehoshua, it's in Perek Bet of Yeshua, he's thinking how to come. He knows that his main thing, what Moshe told him, and because Baruch Hu now is telling him, go ahead and capture the land. So he has to think, how is he going to go in? Which is the first city that he should go in order to capture the land? And from all the calculations that he makes, it comes out to Jericho. That's the city that should be taken first and captured. Why? Because it was very strong. And if we can go ahead and capture this city, then all the rest are going to be much easier for us and people will be very scared of us. And then Yoshua, he sends 3 people to go in and they're dressed as spies. They come in and they go to a woman's home. Her name is Rachav. And she figures out that they're spies. And look what she tells them. I want to read you the words. She says like this, Vatomer el ha'anashim yadati, I know, כי נתן השם לכם את הארץ, וכי נפלה אימתכם עלינו, וכי נמוגו כל יושבי הארץ מפניכם. We all heard that God is with you, and he's doing to you miracles, credible stuff. And we know, and we're very scared that you're coming here. And what did we hear? She describes over there, Asher hovish Hashem et mei Yam Suf. She also says, just like Yitro, we heard about the water that was split for you. And we heard about Shnei Malchei Mori Asher be'ever HaYarden Lesichon uLe'og Asher cheramtem otam. We know also about your wars that you win. It's kind of the same thing like Yitro is saying, same stuff. And we can continue, but the words over here is, she's saying about Hashem, but wonderful stuff. And from there, she's making a decision to take those spies, to hide them inside of her home, and to help Yehoshua with the information that's going to come out of Jericho. And he wins the war, obviously, together with the Bnei Israel. But what happens to her? She does a very big chesed with Klal Yisrael, because she could have got killed for what she did. So she made an effort. But how did she make her effort? She made it, some say, that she had her personal stuff inside. She was saving her family. She was saving her life. There's something that was worth it for her for what she was doing. Obviously, I'm not taking away. She did an amazing thing for us. And look, she also gets back. What happens? It says she makes with them a deal. I will put the red string around the house and you're not allowed to kill any of my family. None of them are allowed to be killed. They say, the Medrash tells us, some of Mefarshim also say, that she saved 200 people. Yeah, not 200 people she saved. 200 people were not being able to be touched by Yehoshua and the army. Why? because of the chesed that she did. But more than that, the next step after that, she's asking to be part of Klal Yisrael. It says like this, in Perek Vav of Yoshua, it says, ואת רחב הזונה, ואת בית אביה, ואת כל אשר לה החיה יהושע. He kept them alive. ותשב בקרב ישראל. She's sitting inside בקרב. קרוב means inside, with a connection. עד היום הזה, until today, which means she's a ger tzedek. She converted to Judaism. She's part of us. And more than that, we know she married Yoshua bin Nun, the great leader. She married him, so she was a very special woman. So what I'm trying to say is that she says the word also, ki shamanu. What's the word that she's using? Shmiya, listening. I heard something. Very, very similar to what happened with Yitro. Very, very close. Shamanu, incredible stuff. We want to be part. She goes ahead and she does a very big chesed. Yitro also did. He helped Moshe Rabbeinu when Moshe was running away from Paro Melech Mitzrayim. He was saved by Yitro's house. So it's very close. And after that, when she does that, she's Bekerev Klal Yisrael. She bought it, her zchut to be part of it. And she marries the leader. And we know that the Midrash Rabbah tells us that came out of her 8 prophets. And I don't remember all their names, but if you want to know what they are, so Ramat Beit Shemesh Gimel has their 8 streets, all the names of her children that came out of Rachav. So what I'm trying to say over here, that she did something very worthy and she got something back. She heard and she came, but she's coming to Klal Yisrael in a good time. What a wonderful God you have. He's super powerful. I want to be part of this thing. And then she is a part. The third person is Malkat Shva, the Queen of Shva. The Queen of Shva, the story about her, that she comes to Shlomo HaMelech, we hear about it in Sefer Melachim Aleph Perek Yud. Yeah, the 10th paragraph of Melachim Aleph. And what we hear over there is that she hears, again hearing, she hears about Shlomo HaMelech, an incredible king, something very, very special. And she hears and she says, that's so crazy what I hear about him. That's so incredible. I want to get up from Shva. Shva was today, the area that Shva was is Yemenite of today. Okay, so if we look at the map, she did a very big trip from there up to Yerushalayim. Back then, it was hard. And she's not making it easier on herself because she comes with a lot of gold. She comes with tons of presents, perfumes. She comes with a lot of stuff to Shlomo HaMelech. But we want to ask ourselves, why did she come? Okay, so I'm sitting in a different country and I hear that this king in Yerushalayim, he's incredible. He's amazing. He's super smart. Nice. But it's still, we don't understand why does she get up? She makes such an effort. I'm sure it took her weeks. And she's coming and she's also losing because she gave major presents to him. Why would she make all this big effort? The answer tells us right away. There, in Melachim, Sefer Melachim, it tells us like this. Okay, I have to find the source. But it says that she came because she heard the Shmu'ah. She heard what incredible and wonderful God you have. That's what she heard. So when she hears that, she wants to be part of this. She says, I'm coming to see what an incredible God you have. Here, ומלכת שבא שומעת, again, she's hearing, that's the word of the Tanakh. שומעת את שם השלמה לשם השם, ותבוא לנסותו בחידות. She's not seeing only Shlomo. Shlomo is nice, but Shlomo in the eyes of the Queen of Sheba, he's a creation of Kadosh Baruch Hu. And not only that, Kadosh Baruch Hu, there's a Kiddush Hashem through Shlomo HaMelech in the world, because the infant of Hashem is coming out of Shlomo. There is no limits to his brains. There's no limit. He's a walking Google, but a lot more than that. He's incredible. And when you see an incredible thing, it's like seeing the water being split. It's the same thing. I see something that cannot happen in a regular nature. And here it's happening, which means God is doing it himself. That's his hand. When she sees Shlomo HaMelech, when she hears about Shlomo HaMelech, she understands that there's no way that a human being can have such a brain, can know so many languages, can speak to all the animals, can know everything, can know the insight of everything, can know what's going on in her heart, knows why does she come with certain, I don't know how you say chidot, but I think it's a quiz, right? Something like that. There is such a word, quiz. Yeah? Okay, so she's coming with quiz to Shlomo HaMelech. She's saying, I'm coming to see, lenasot otcha, to see if you will know what's inside of my heart. Now, how could I know what's inside of your heart? We say things, the only thing I can hear is what you say. I don't know what you're thinking. I'm not you. She's trying Shlomo HaMelech by saying, I want to know if you know, what am I thinking? What's my process of thinking? That's what she's telling him. When I find a person, when I'm meeting a person, that he's not limited, his brains are not limited, which means he can go into my heart and know what I'm thinking, even if I say something else, that's from God. That's something that cannot happen. Now, the story with her is extremely interesting. It's not a class about her, but I still want to say it here. When she comes to Shlomo and she is trying him with different different questions. She's testing him. And he knows all of her answers. Now, when you think about it, what does it mean when I know someone else's answers? When it comes to certain questions, there's no way you know what I was thinking. That's a quiz. You can't really know unless you are really aiming somehow. You got it right. It's like 1 to 1,000,000 to get something like this right. When she sees that Shlomo HaMelech is able to go ahead with it and to know the answers, what does she say right away? She says like this in the pasuk. She says, Yehi Hashem אלוקיך baruch, אשר חפץ בך לתתך על כיסא ישראל, באהבת השם את ישראל לעולם, וישמך למלך, לעשות משפט וצדקה. She doesn't say, wow. She doesn't finish by Shlomo. Wow, you are amazing. No, she goes ahead. And who is she praising? Kadosh Baruch Hu. That's what she does. She says, you are created from God's will. And you are so incredible. You got to be who you are because it's God. God is showing us by you how he's not limited. He's incredible. She has the eyes to see it. She has the ears to hear it. But here she's different than all the other three that we just said. What happens here? Now this might shock you, but this is Rashi on Melachim Aleph, and this is what it says. It says, והמלך שלמה נתן למלכת שבא את כל אשר חפצה. Rashi tells us on this pasuk, את כל אשר חפצה, he had relations with her, and from that relations, from that intimacy, came out Nebuchadnezzar. The king Nebuchadnezzar came out of Shlomo HaMelech and the queen of Shva. Now, again, I don't think it was their son. I think it was their somehow grandson or great-grandson. Shlomo HaMelech, together with the queen of Shva, they had a daughter, and the daughter gave birth to Nebuchadnezzar. Now, why? Why Nebuchadnezzar? Look what we said before. Yitro leaves us the family of Moshe, Zipporah's daughter. And not only that, later on it tells us in Yeshua that his great-grandchildren are sitting Be'irat Marim. They're sitting in Jericho. In Jericho, they're learning Torah with Yavetz. They're very, very special people. Very high level of spiritual. He left us big presents, Yitro. What happens to Rachav? I just said she left us eight prophets. And some say also Huldah HaNeviah. Big gifts we got. But Malkat Shva, it doesn't happen. And not only that, after she sees this wonderful stuff, she makes a U-turn and she goes back. She goes back, and we know that some say she converted to Judaism, some say she didn't. But I want to talk about the gift that she left us. Not such a Metzia. She left us Nebuchadnezzar. How did it happen? I just read this wonderful psukim. She's saying incredible stuff about Hashem. She got very nice, like 20 psukim inside of Melachim Aleph, which is in the middle of describing building the Beis HaMikdash. It stops to tell us what she said about God, which means she's a very special woman, super smart. Went on a trip far away to find God's name, to see it in her own eyes because she heard. So what happens? Why did she leave us Nebuchadnezzar? Why doesn't she become just like Ruth? What's the difference? And Ruth leaves us the biggest gift. She leaves us David HaMelech, which he is the source of Mashiach. Wow. What's the difference? What happened? So look what happens. It tells us in the first pasuk, she came lenasot. She came to test God, to test and to see how incredible you are. Not only did I hear, I'm testing. What happens when I test? Not always the answers that I'm going to hear are going to sit well with me. She was missing a language, a certain language that you get when you do incredible things. That language that she was missing, we find in Tehillim, Perek Pei Aleph. It tells us like this over there, and it's something that I think that is going to put together this whole class. Explain to us exactly what happened over here. Perek Pei Aleph B'Tehillim, Pasuk Vav. It says like this, Edut b'Yehosef Samo, בצאתו על ארץ מצרים, שפת לא ידעתי אשמע. שפת לא ידעתי. Did you hear about such a language? A language that you don't know? A language that you can't understand? A language that you can't speak? Who spoke that language first? Yosef. Yosef is standing in front of Paro in Egypt. And he tells him, I heard my dreams. Very similar to what later is going to happen between the queen of Shva and Shlomo HaMelech. I'm coming to you with all different questions. I don't know what it means, my dream. What does it say? What does Yosef say? I don't know how to interpret your dreams. I don't know how to do it. Sfat lo yadati, eshma. You hear the word here? Lishmoa? When I don't know something, that's my language right now. I don't know. So I have to listen. Who am I listening to? God. If he's going to give me the answer, I'll give it to you and you will know what your dreams are trying to say. I don't know. I am standing and speaking to you a language. They say that Yosef spoke 70 languages. This is the 71. Sfat lo yadati. I don't know. Now, the queen of Shva did not want to speak this language. She came לנסות, to test. I want to see. When I test, I will see. When you test God, you leave us a gift as Nebuchadnezzar. Because you do not know the language of what I don't know. You cannot convert into Judaism. You're not there at all. You come, incredible, amazing. What God did is unheard of. But you can't be there because you don't understand the language that we're speaking with Kadosh Baruch Hu. Who knows this language? Those that say, Ishma. Yitro said it. Rachav said it. Ruth said it also. Hashmu'ah that they heard, Shepakad Hashem et amo, that's what it said in Ruth, right? And here she also comes. She's so close, but she's doing exactly what Orpah did. She's turning around, the Queen of Sheba. But I want to leave the Queen of Sheba right now, and I want to stay with the language that she was missing. The language that she's missing could very well be that we're missing too. Do I know to stand in hard times and to say, Sfat lo yadati, you talking to me in a language that I don't understand? I have no idea why you're killing this, why you took my money, why you did this and that, why my marriage fell apart, why my child left me, why? That's a language, Sfat lo yadati. I don't know the answers. I don't know. The last thing you have to do over there is to test God. Because then you're leaving. But if I stay in a position that I know you're talking a language that I'm so small, I'm a small human being. I feel, I'm crying, I'm even upset. But I know, bottom line, you're speaking to me in a language that I don't know. That's a language that I have to learn, and maybe I will never know. And it's okay. That's a language of Sfat lo yadati. I don't know. And don't think you don't know because you came to Israel and you don't know Hebrew. This is not the language. The Israelis, those that speak Hebrew, also don't know this language. It's a special language. Sfat lo yadati. We all have to start speaking this language of going with Kadosh Baruch Hu in good times and in bad times. And I know to be with him when I don't know why. Now I want to tell you, we're going to go ahead one more pasuk with it. When Ruth is coming to the plat of Boaz later on, Perigimel, maybe Bet, and she says over there, she's coming and they're gleaning the fields. And she's standing over there, and Boaz wants to say, you're an amazing woman that you came and went all this way with your mother-in-law. What does he tell her? You chose a nation that you did not know yesterday, and you chose to come and be part. Excuse me? She didn't know? She was married to Kilion. She didn't know? They had a marriage. She lived in Naomi's house and Elimelech's house, very, very big people. She knew what was Torah. She knew very well what it was all about. What are you telling her? You coming to a nation that you did not know about yesterday? It's insulting. She knew very well what was going on. She knew very well what was Torah. But he's telling her, you are willing to say, I don't know. Yes, you were there 5 years, 10 years. Yes, you're very close. You saw Shabbos table. You saw Pesach. You saw, not speaking Lashon Hara, you saw these wonderful things. And you still can say, I don't know. You have our language. That's a nation that you did not know yesterday, which means you did not learn the language. You understood that you don't know. And when you understand that you don't know, you're very close to Hashem because he is talking to us in a language that we can't understand. Now that's what made Ruth so special and in one level above all of the rest. We said the three of them left us very big gifts. One didn't make it, it didn't leave us a good gift. And also Orpah left us Goliath and his brothers, also not such an amazing and attractive gift. But Ruth is leaving us the biggest gift in all. Why? Because she's choosing Naaseh v'nishma. That's what she's choosing. She takes the nishma that we heard it by all of them, but she does Naaseh. I am going to be part of this in the bad times. Not when I see Kadosh Baruch Hu is so amazing and incredible. No, I will be with God where I don't understand how he's talking to me because he killed my husband and he took away the money from my mother and he made her sick. And my sister just left me too. And I'm going to come with no identity. In that God I am choosing. That's Naaseh v'nishma. And when you choose in darkness, and when you make decisions like this, and I'm talking about us right now, when we choose to do Naaseh in hard times, after a Holocaust, and in my eyes, we're all Holocaust survivors. It just happened 75 years ago. We're all there, and we chose, and our mothers chose, and the people that came out of the concentration camps, they chose for us too. We're going with you, God, in bad. That's Naaseh v'nishma. That's the whole Torah. I am with you when I don't understand what you're doing. I'm with you when what you're doing is not so attractive. That's when I make a decision. And we are continuing it. I know some of you that made the decision to come and make Aliyah. Yeah, you had it better over there. There was more cream cheese, there was more salmon, there was wonderful stuff over there. I'm married to an American. I know how he speaks. And yet you all made an incredible decision to go with Kadosh Baruch Hu because to choose in this promised land and to be Mekarev Geula by coming over here and leaving behind good stuff and coming. When did you make Aliyah? Some of you came after the 6-day war. So we came because we heard God is great. But what did we come to see? Some came after the 73 war. We didn't win. Some came in the 2000, the Intifada. We're being killed here in our holy land. Why? Because we're Jewish. The story, the narrative of the story is continuing on generations after generations. And yet you chose. You all made an effort. It goes together. She cleaves, she makes an effort, and she's choosing God when things are not so attractive. In the darkness, she's choosing to be with Hashem Yitbarach when I don't understand his language. Sfat lo yadati. Humbling myself. I'm coming with humble into this nation. I want to be part of it, not when it's so beautiful. And therefore, what she did is higher than all of the rest wonderful people that we spoke about in this class. They were all incredible. They all did amazing things. But Ruth was chosen as being the diamond that Kadosh Baruch Hu decided to bring from Moab and let her choose. It was her decision. I'm going back to the beginning of the class. She told Naomi, I'm not choosing in you. I'm very close to you, but I'm not choosing in you. I'm choosing in Hashem. And I'm choosing in him in the dark. And from here, she brought to the world the biggest light. Because when you choose to be with Hashem, when you don't understand, he holds it for you. He holds you this effort. He holds you all these decisions and the hard times that you made these decisions to come and to go after him. In the desert, how do we get Torah? Naaseh v'nishma. Where did we get it? In the desert. Again, we didn't get it in Manhattan or on the Alps or in other places that would have been much nicer, likable. Could have been a better presentation. We get it in the desert. We get it in places that we're humble, in places that we don't understand, in places that we can say, Na'aseh v'nishma. I'm coming to you when I don't understand what you're saying. I'm cleaving to you there and then because I'm choosing you, Hashem. Amech ami ve'elokich Elokai. Thank you very much.